South Africa has won a back-to-back series. Excellent from South Africa. A 3-0 win against Ireland. A clinical performance. South Africa decided to change a couple of guys, make some wholesale changes. Temba Bavuma, the captain, scoring his maiden half-century for the Proteas in T20 cricket. Reza Hendricks scoring an amazing half-century too. David Miller showing what he can do at the back end, coming in early at 3. A clinical bowling performance, keeping Ireland at bay throughout the particular match, and ultimately clinching a 3-0 victory. So only positive things I got to say today about the Proteas. Thanks a lot for all of you guys that are watching. And if you are tuned in for the first time, click that subscribe button. Click that notification bell for all future videos. And also, don't forget to smash that like button. We want to get over 50 likes on this particular video today. I'm assuming that guys are going to start streaming in as we go along through this particular review show. So hopefully there is a lot of people watching this particular one. We've got some guests for you after this. So looking forward to this one. A very good evening. Vuma Bavu. What an entrance.
We're the Temba haters now, boy. We're the Temba haters. We're the Temba haters now. We're the Temba haters. Where they now, boy? Get out of here. Oh, wait, how's it? Hello, everyone.
How's it, guys? Welcome to the review show. This is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with Ireland versus South Africa. 3-0 win for South Africa. An excellent batting performance. And Paul, it's the highest score we've scored in 9 innings. The last time we scored in a great performance like that was the 200 odd against Pakistan at Centurion. So, wow, what a performance. I mean, I think what I'm most impressed about this particular match is the fact that Quinton didn't play, Rassi didn't play. Okay, there was no Janneman, but that's all right. Calvarena wasn't playing. But ultimately, the guys that have been carrying South Africa, inverted commas, were not playing today, like Quinton de Kock. And Bavuma put on an excellent performance to get South Africa into the position that they got them in. He set up the perfect scenario for a guy like Miller to come in and Miller to score the way he has. I think it was an excellent performance overall, but Paul, I'm going to get your thoughts first.
I'm going to deal with somebody in the comments right now.
Yeah, that's...
Kevin Leberg just called us baboons. You don't ever do that. You don't ever do that.
I didn't actually see that. Okay, you are banned from the chat.
You don't ever do that. No, you can't. That is the reason why we have SJN hearings. Now I have to go to SJN to say Kevin called me a baboon. Nah.
I'm trying to celebrate here. Come on, Kevin, I'm not allowed to be happy for my boy.
Okay, cool. My Lions boys. Oh my word. Reza Hendricks, Temba Bavuma, what an innings. And the thing that made it even better, right? Yes, I think if you want to be a little bit harsh, and guys will be harsh, they'll be like, no, they scored very slowly. They started very slowly. Fine, cool. I can give you that. But that entire innings, 20 dot balls. 20 dot balls in that entire innings. We went in game 2, it was 44. In game 1, it was 35. 20 dot balls in that innings gets you 1 away from 190. That's good enough on what is a slowish wicket. Yes, maybe you can say, yeah, fine, if somebody else was there like Quinny or Aiden who strike the ball much quicker than the rest, then yeah, you could have gotten 200. But with the team that was there, with the responsibility that they took, they really did. And to a certain extent, to a certain point, after over 11, I'm like, these guys are trying to get themselves out. which is fine because you wanted them to try and be aggressive, and they did. At over 11, I think Riza and Temba were striking at about 108, 110, which I felt was kind of slow. But then they had those 4 overs of 11, I think it was 12, and then the last one was 13. Then Riza went out, and then even after Riza went out, they kind of pushed on in that over 15 when we scored 65 runs in the last 5 overs. Like it's the formula's not finished, but
it's a good start.
I'd like for them to score a little bit quicker in those middle overs, but they vacuumed up. I want it to be like they sucked up all the dot balls, which they did. They vacuumed up all the dot balls. Temba and Riza, it was flawless. It effectively was flawless. They batted Ireland out the game, and then Miller time 2.0. Miller comes in 36 of how many balls? Was it 17? That's 211 strike rate. That is what you want, and I'm happy that the batting improved. I said, "Wake me up when this team scores 170." I'm awake, and I'm really happy for them. It's not the finished product. The question obviously is when you bring the other guys in, because now Riza deserves a run. That Riza 50 was unbelievable. Riza now deserves a run. You've got openers coming out of the walls. You've got Yanaman, you've got Aiden, you've got Riza. Temba's captain. Quinny's undroppable. How do you fit them all in? Do you take them all to the World Cup? How do you give them how do you select after these performances? I know that the selectors struggled to drop Riza because he was striking at 143 from the CSAT, throughout the last year. I think that was one of the reasons why Riza went on tour. And so now the question is how that's going to work out, because now you need to figure out, do you play 5 openers, Khalid? I don't know.
So that is the question I was going to ask Seppo. I mean, because now that all of the, you could say, top order batsmen are performing well, Aiden's performing well, someone that people thought you could open the batting, but obviously with Temba saying that he's going to open the batting with Quinton, that is finalized. So Temba performing, everybody coming to the fold. Do you think that it was a good enough performance from Riza Hendricks to say that he needs another go in Sri Lanka? Or do you think that the opening spots are filled and the likes of Rassi and Quinton, when they come back into the team, they take those 2 positions that they filled today? The 2 newbies.
Khalid, difficult questions to answer. Glad I'm not the selector. But with that said, it feels so good to have such a difficult question to answer. It feels so good to rotate players and players continue bringing out performances. It feels so good to watch people take opportunities that they're given. Riza Hendricks was absolutely fantastic batting with Temba Bavuma today. I know that there's criticism of, we started off a bit slow, but think of it in context. The previous game, we were criticized for going too hard too early. This was a great adaptation. This was thinking cricket. This was responding to what happened in the past. And not just that, responding emphatically and responding without the likes of Quinton de Kock to carry us through. Responding without having to rely on David Miller at the back end. And to answer your question about is it okay to go with this many openers, we need to stop thinking about openers, this, that, or the other. David Miller in his press conference said, look, how I understand what he said was he would like to bat higher in the order. Yes, I'm sure he would. His average is much better batting at 4. Most batsmen's averages are much better batting at 4, but he understands his role. There's clear communication between Mark Boucher and his players. It looks good. It looks good that Bjorn Fontaine is out there doing well. It looks good that Bjorn Hendricks is out there. I don't like him, but it's great that he's out there. After the SJN hearings, after hearing how Paul Adams was literally 12th man for over 200 games or something like that, correct me if I'm wrong, this is what I want to see. This is fantastic.
Now, Paul, what I want to ask you is, there was a period in the match where I was a little bit nervous, right? So obviously we saw us score at quite a slow rate. In the power play, we're normally very explosive, but that obviously will increase when Quinton comes back. So for Temba to keep his form and to keep things going, what would you expect from him when it comes to the Sri Lanka series going forward into the World Cup?
I think same game plan that he employed today. I'm not angry that they batted very slowly. I was happy with, because they kept on talking about what's the formula. The formula effectively looks like don't lose a lot of wickets in the power play. Just keep the momentum going and try and take it as deep as possible, because they keep on saying one of the top 5 needs to be there in over 15, which means that there's going to be subdued aggression at the top outside of a guy like Quinton de Kock, and it's going to try and move up. Yes, after 10 overs, 74 runs with Reza there, I kind of felt that maybe if Reza went a little bit more aggressively, you probably would have gotten other guys coming in and everything else, which is fine and that's okay. But they weren't getting out. They were preserving their wickets. They were not giving us a lot of dot balls, and they were taking singles. And to a certain extent, we've been crying on the show for months about the rotation of strike, about the fact that we keep on leaving dot balls on the table. And today we only left 20. That's insane, and we got to 189. In most T20 matches, 189 is enough for you to win. So I'm not begrudging them. South Africa since Mark Boucher took over, this is the 8th score above 190. Sorry, 8th score above 190 in 20. I think it's 24 T20s now. That Mark Boucher's been in charge. So yes, it's a step in the right direction. As Ireland says, a step in the right direction. And I think from a Temba perspective, it's just batting this in this manner, keeping it going, and being able to look for those boundaries and find those boundaries. Very clever in the ways he did it. And then he refused to allow dot balls to get too much. And for me, that was great. In the middle overs, they scored around 10 runs and over. That was fine. That was okay. Yes, the start wasn't great, but they managed it in the end. And so if they can do that, then I think for Temba, this is a good thing, because you want that early, as a captain, you want that early like milestone to kind of get the monkey off your back. I think Joe Root went like a year in Test cricket without like scoring a significant a score as captain, and everyone was talking about, is he the right guy? And so I'm happy that he's gotten this hurdle over in the T20 side, going to the World Cup. Now, obviously, with Sri Lanka, it's now your starting 11, and now working out whatever this formula, if this is the formula, whatever this formula is.
Mm-hmm. I think that also it's clear to see that someone like Dwayne Pretorius can slot in immediately into that role that basically Heinrich Klaassen played today. Coming out when we need it. If we have 2 guys walking to the crease that we know can clear the boundary, it gives us a massive advantage coming into a situation like that, what happened today. Ideally, the scenario we would like to see is Quinton and Bavuma batting deep like that. But I think the amount of runs scored will be a lot better. And I think what impressed me the most is with these 2 batsmen that they naturally played their own game today, and we still got to a decent score. And that was what I was trying to prove all along. When you select certain players and you let them play their natural game, South Africa will always put themselves in winning positions, and that's what I want from that. Because rather give yourself the best chance, and if you lose the match because of maybe 1 or 2 errors or the other team being way better than you, but match them, match the intensity, match the performance, and play your natural ability. Just play your natural game, please, guys. That's all I want from you, because they are all so talented. So from your perspective, let me just ask you this. I still think Ireland are a fighting team, but what do you think about the effort from Ireland, Zippo? Let me ask you that.
The effort from Ireland, I don't want to say it left a lot to be desired, but you could see it was sort of getting away from them. And I guess Umpo was complaining about South Africa not taking wickets towards the end of an innings. And I get that you do want to close it out, but I mean, this team, they weren't looking up for it today. Some of the decisions with the batting early on weren't good. People didn't look like they were middling the ball. They like Ireland in the first one day international, even in the second one, they were on it. They were here. They were like, here we go, big team, we're coming for you. But in the second game, it was just a question of quality, and you could see it. Um, the guys were handled a lot better, I must say. There was a lot of respect paid to Simi Singh. And Simi Singh is no scrub. That guy's the best bowler, well, the best T20 bowler in Ireland, and respect was due. And when South Africa got up to the task, when South Africa started reading the conditions a bit better, when Ireland weren't like it was, they didn't have that home ground elements of surprise thing going, then like I don't want to be rude, but they were shown to be like where they are in the rankings. They were shown to be a minnow side. But with that said, some decent performances here and there. Sumi Singh was pretty exciting. Um, Unfortunately, actually, the fielding. Sorry, wow, the fielding was abhorrent today.
That
Wow,
Markram
me.
catch.
Oh
Wait,
man.
for which team? Ireland or South Africa?
Oh, Ireland.
Oh,
I was
yes,
asked
'cause-
about
Oh,
Ireland.
I
was
thought you
asked
were.
about
I
Because
was
there was
trying
a
to look at
man-
your face.
Because Aidan Markham took a blinder. Like,
And he
you
owes
know,
us. After all
degree
these drops,
of-
he owes us. And I love that he
degree
comes
of
back with.
difficulty 11. That's what it was.
I love it. Aiden, you're
It
a
was
beautiful man.
unbelievable.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
But yeah.
Cool. I've got a caller waiting for us, guys.
Oh,
I'm gonna
get
bring him
in.
on. He's one of the debutants on the channel today. Welcome to the show, Malad. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us what you thought about this particular game from South Africa and Ireland perspective.
Thanks, Khalid. Obviously, pleasure to be on the show, making my debut. I'm Malhar, and you can say I'm an ardent Ireland fan, and I write for Emerging Cricket about them. Uh, as for the series, I think Ireland couldn't replicate the promise that they showed in the ODIs. And of course, Shepo, I agree. You wouldn't say that it left a lot to be desired, but at the same time, I think they were just playing catch up for so long, and they just don't have a formula nailed on. Uh, I think Fo was talking about South Africa's formula, but Ireland, they just look a bit too lost. You look at somebody like Kevin O'Brien, you expect more from him, but I think it's just he had a horrible interprovincial T20 tournament, like the domestic tournament back home, just 47 runs across 6 innings, and at interpro level you sort of expect him to regain his form, but that did not happen, and it showed in this tournament as well. So I know there's a feeling that maybe the T20 World Cup will be his last appearance for Ireland. Anyway, he's not playing the ODI, so there's no reason for him to continue for that long. Because in his place, Ireland can bring in somebody like William McClintock or Stephen Doheny, and they have plenty of time to do that for the Zimbabwe series. So yeah, of course, it left. I think even the bowling variety, there's not much. You would ask if there's somebody else, but no, this is the best that they have. But I'm really happy that they went a little bit more aggressive by choosing Ben White, even though he may not have bowled as well as they would have liked. But he's someone they need. Simi Singh is brilliant, but they need a leg spinner.
But Malha, if I can come in here, do you think Kevin O'Brien opening the batting is a little bit too high? Wouldn't you necessarily bring Balbirnie in to open and Kevin O'Brien batting either a 3 or 4?
Absolutely.
Largely because he's so important to this team that he can bat anywhere in the innings, that you'd probably want him to kind of evade the new ball, because it's just becoming a little bit of a problem, especially with teams bowling spin to him all the time, and he's just not getting it out the park.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kevin O'Brien always had that reputation that he's a finisher. But yeah, surely he can be a floater at probably number 3, 4, and probably 5 or 6. But Balbirnie did really well at number 3, and he has opened quite a few times. He's played county cricket for Glamorgan and Middlesex, and he opened and he did quite well. So yeah, you need to give your best batters more overs to bat. And I mean, Kevin O'Brien's really not facing a lot of balls. He's just wasting them. Maybe, if it's like a really left field move, would be to send Mark Adair as a pinch hitter. But I don't think Ireland would do that. But yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. But I think Shane Getgate would be a very good finisher. That's what he did in the interprovincial tournaments, even for Ireland A. So yeah, I mean, I just don't see where Kevin O'Brien fits really. I know there's no substitute for experience, but uh, I think they're just running out of. Uh, I mean, he's running out of time now.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you another question, and that is, what impressed you the most about South Africa? Because when the commentators were speaking about South Africa's performance today and what they saw in this particular series, they were talking about like good chance in the World Cup, and we will be able to compete in that particular group. Do you agree with that? And what impressed you the most about South Africa's performance throughout the series?
Uh, I think like David Miller getting back to form was like really pleasing. He's one of the I think best T20 batsmen out there. Probably a lot of people feel that he's not lived up to the reputation, but I think this series is exactly what he needed to regain that confidence. That is, I think, something you'd agree on. But I think South Africa can definitely be competitive. They have the spinners. George Linde is wonderful to watch, and so is Tabraiz Shamsi. To have a South African spinner at number one in the world, that I think a lot of people wouldn't have envisioned probably a few years ago. That is something which is really pleasing. And probably the pace department, I don't know, I didn't watch a lot of Lizard Williams spells, but yeah, I think they can surely compete. But it's about, their batting clicking together at the right time. Quinton de Kock has IPL experience, and and I think even when Faf du Plessis comes in, that's a very good batting lineup. But can they do it against spin is something I'm a bit skeptical about. Although I'm not sure if that's something they need to worry about.
Anybody else want to ask him anything or say anything about that?
Just one last thing about looking towards the World Cup. How do you see this Ireland side shaping up? And obviously they've got the Zimbabwe tour. I don't know how many T20s that is, but obviously
Yes.
you still have the qualifiers at the World Cup in Oman, and obviously that's about 5 games. Does it look like this team is shaping itself up to get to obviously they're going to be in Oman, but to get out of the qualifiers as either one of the top 2 teams in their group?
I think they are. They definitely have a chance. I think they have Sri Lanka in their group, so they can be a bit of a challenge. Although we would all like to think that Sri Lanka may not really be in with a chance, but no, I think Ireland can definitely be there. They are definitely going to be very good against Zimbabwe. Uh, the reason I say so is because I think it's a very even-keeled contest. They play 3 T20Is against them next month, and that gives them a room for experiment, which I think they couldn't do against South Africa because, as I said, it was giving their best batsman a chance, a long rope, if you may. But I think they definitely can. It's about how their combination clicks. I think the Zimbabwe tour will be really a big stepping stone for them if they are to do well in Oman, as you said. So yeah, I think they can do well. They have that experience.
Okay, that's very interesting. Thanks a lot, Malar, for coming on the show. I hope you can come in the future again.
Thanks,
I'd love to hear
Khalid.
your insight, and I'll chat to you very, very soon. So guys, Abai's here. He's just coming fresh off the press conference.
Bye.
Abai, I want to ask you a question quickly. Which one is in Baghdad? I'm taking it that Temba's will be in Baghdad. Okay, cool. Awesome. So can you give us some insight? And I just want to add Vernon to the stream as well. Welcome to the show, brother, again. Great 2 days in a row, guys. Hey? Huh? Or basically in a row. Abai, just give us some insight into what you heard from Boucher. Don't have to go too much in depth because we're probably going to talk about it tomorrow on the podcast show tomorrow evening. I've got some interesting things that I want to discuss. But what stood out to you the most about Boucher? What in this press conference?
Well, let's see here. I think, Boucher was very happy for the captain. He was Well, I should say more relieved because it's nice to see the captain finally among the runs. But other than that, he was mostly he praised the performance today. It was a more dominant performance from the South Africans today. At the same time, he said that this side isn't quite a finished product yet. Still, they need to find out who the extra all-rounder can be. A 6 bowling option, still very important. And then when all the first choice players are back, then we should be able to have all bases covered. So that was the gist of that presser.
Paul, what do you think this 11 is going to be? Actually, let's all talk about it because in my eyes, what it's looking like right now for me, it's Quinton and Temba on top. I mean, me personally, I would like to see Rassie at 3, and then I would like to see Aiden at 4, and then Miller at 5. Aiden and Miller can decide if they want to switch around, dependable on whatever's happening. It's difficult for me to say Dwayne Pretorius, but I'll say Dwayne Pretorius right now. But if he comes back in Sri Lanka and he has a good series, but based on this performances right now, you have to give people something for what they've done. So George Linder,
who's batted at who's done well at 6? Nobody's done well at 6 outside of Vian Mulder. In that game.
That's why I want to put a seam. That's why I would say I'll put the seam all rounder there. So Vian Mulder I'll put in there at 6, and then at 7 I'll put in George at 7 actually before Andile. I'll put Andile at 8. And then I'll round off with KG and I'll round off with Anrich, and then Shamsi is my spinner. That's just what I see as the best lineup that we currently have from the series that we've witnessed now.
Yes. So at World Cup, group stages, I'd start with 2 spinners. I would go same as you, but the difference is if Faf is available, right? Which I'm assuming he will be. Aiden steps out. Faf comes in at 3. Rassie at 4. And then you have Dwayne at 6 with Mill at 5. And then you have Linda 7. And then depending on so early on in the tournament, it's for me, I'd actually bring in Vian Mulder, but Andile is a much better death bowler. I'd give Andile an opportunity, even though South Africa don't play those guys. And then you have one of KG and Anna at 8. Oh, yeah, both of them, KG and Anna at 8 and 9. And then you'd have a spinner into Brace. And then if later in the tournament, if I need another spinner, I'm taking one of my strike bowlers out and bringing in what's his name? Bjorn Fortuin. Because I think Keshav's not out of the T20 question. If Faf's available, Aiden's the one who drops out the side because you're not dropping Quinton. Temba's your captain, and you can complain about quotas, whatever it is, in the stream. And Rassie's my mainstay in that batting lineup. And so Aiden unfortunately would sit out. If Faf doesn't go to the World Cup, Aiden starts. It's as simple as that. And then your reserve batsman, I'm tending to Yanaman Malan in the squad.
Is it my turn now?
Yeah.
Sick. Okay. So I answered a comment. Someone in the comments asked for my 11. I gave it over there. I'll give it over here. I'll have QDK and Temba because, obvious. Number 3, Markram, then Rassie van der Dussen, then Miller at 5, then Mulder. What I like about Mulder is that, as you guys mentioned, number 6 is a hard place to bat at. Heinrich Klaassen hasn't really been finishing. David Miller doesn't look comfortable there either. But Vian Mulder, his performance in the second T20, that is what we need at the end of an innings, just before the likes of George Linder, Andile Pitnokwayo, KG, which are my next 3 batsmen, would come in. And what that offers you is a 6 bowling option. And I definitely feel that Mulder's position can also be swapped with Dwayne Pretorius because they offer enough with the bat and they give a 6 bowling option. So it's a sort of 2 for 1. after KG, I would obviously have Heinrich Nokia and Tobre Shamsi. But what's more important to me than like my starting 11 is the fact that I have substitutions like at each of these positions. Because one thing that we tend to forget when we speak about build-ups is that injuries can happen, and you need to have backup like for each position. So for the openers, if Markram's out, Janaman Malan can slot in very nicely. If we need a spinner, if George Linder's out, Bjorn Fontaine can slot in very nicely. So what we've got going is in terms of, there's a squad balance, yes, not just a team balance, but I feel like with this, yeah, there's a lot more squad balance. Yeah.
Now,
also,
thanks a lot
guys,
for the-
please share your 11s. I want to
Yeah.
read your 11. Share them.
Please,
Yeah, I'm here.
and not now in the live chat. I want you guys to do it once the live stream is done, so that we can keep it on the video. Thanks a lot for the super chat. Just go. If you want to ask a question, I will answer it now when I go back to the bottom of the stream again. Just let me know if you want me to ask. If you want me to put your answer on the screen. Let's just put on anything that you said. He said George has been so bad at 7, but we don't have many options. I guess unless Dwayne is there, if he isn't batting at 6. Who wants to answer this one?
May I? Abai's hand is
Because
up.
I mean, I've been already saying that already. So, Abai, you want to go?
Well, I just want to say this. Yeah, it's a bad run of form, but I wouldn't give up so easily. Like if you look at his numbers in T20 cricket, he's definitely able to hold the bat. He's definitely able to bat decently at number 6, number 7. So I think it's better to be a bit more open-minded on this one.
Yeah,
the other thing about George is that there's a way you can go about it. We saw it in the last game, right? You can have if Dwayne Pretorius is back, you can play both Dwayne and Mulder and have Bjorn Fontaine at 8. So if you want to go the 6-5 split South Africa goes with, So Dwayne at 6, Vian Mulder at 7, and Dwayne and Bjorn Fontaine at 8. Which Bjorn Fontaine is a very handy bat at number 8, and then you have Kagiso at 9. That's the one way that South Africa could go about it. But then in that case, because the question you need to ask Mark is, in that position, in your 6, 7, and 8, right? Are you looking for better bowlers, or are you looking for guys who can score runs? And my assumption would be, as you go down to 6, 7, and 8, you end up wanting a much better bowler batting at 8 who can hit the ball. So which is why a guy like an Andile fits the number 8, a guy like Bjorn Fontaine fits number 8 quite well. Whereas 7 might be a little bit too high for George Linder, but at 8, does George Linder make the side as a bowler? Because if he bats well, he's in at number 7. But I think if he's not doing well and he drops to number 8, he's now fighting for a position, and rightfully so, against Bjorn Fontaine. And the question is, who's the better bowler? And that's up to Mark to do. I still say George is a slightly better bowler than Bjorn Fontaine, even though Bjorn is, I find Bjorn to be quite economical. But even then, it brings Keshav Maharaj into the equation as well. If we are looking for all the spinners in the world or in South Africa, and I think Kesh could do quite well at number 8 in this T20 side. But I think because of COVID and not being able to play a lot of cricket, his opportunity there are a lot of guys who are in this position right now. Their opportunities are slim.
And I just on the George Linder struggling to bat, I think that one thing we need to consider is the fact that these pitches were slower pitches, and George Linder's not a pinch hitter. He's there to send it to the stands. And what we saw in the West Indies was that even in Ireland is that it's difficult to get the balls to the stands. So it's like asking someone like whose job it is to go out there and smash on a pitch that's not conducive to smashing, to go do their job. And I mean, he did his job. He went out smashing. It was like 3 off 2 or something like that, which I'm like happy with. If you're there, if you're not a pinch hitter, don't pinch hit. Just go out there to smash. So one thing that we must consider is that surface to surface, roles will obviously change. And George Linder in the high felts at the bull ring, that guy could turn that 6 into a 20. It literally just takes that much more to turn 6 into 20, maybe even 30. So yeah, I'm not too phased. I'm not banking on him to bat. Like once we're that deep, you're just hoping. I'm not banking. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not too fussed with him. His bowling is more than good enough. More than good enough.
And also in international cricket, man, you have to accept you're gonna be getting good bowlers when you come in. So it's you know that definitely you're going to get a good bowler that's going to be bowling to you when you, especially with the group that we currently have in the T20 World Cup. So
But this
George is getting very good experience over here, I feel, and learning from the guys around him.
This is where I think this team needs to get a batting coach starting now, going to Sri Lanka and going to the World Cup.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
well, we've got no cricket for the
Or
next couple of
consultant.
months. And
Yeah.
George Linder's probably not going to the Caribbean Premier League. So and probably even Andile and Dwayne have a lower order camp, lower middle order camp. Get Neil McKenzie in, and we work on their lower order hitting, their power hitting, trying to get those guys ready, because I know Dwayne's got it and he's got it in spades. Vian Mulder just needs to. Vian's very technical and he's very correct, and I love that about him. But he can also hit a long ball. He's got the power. Just a few things, just tweaking, and this is what wins you World Cups. This is what sets you apart from everybody else. It's in these moments where you don't have cricket and everyone's sitting at home. It's just before preseason and the thing, so you're not doing anything. Get somebody who's got lower order hitting prowess. I know JP Germany's moved to the lines. He's a batting coach. You could get him
what
in
I
there.
was gonna say.
You could even get whoever it is in the world.
What about a Lance Klusner just to
Yeah,
come in
that
for
too.
that period?
Yes,
I mean, I'm sure he will want to come in as a consultant
it's a
to just help
no-brainer.
out.
But these are the moments where you need guys to come and maybe even call whoever's not playing either at the 100 or playing in the Caribbean Premier League or playing in the IPL after like a 3-week break. They must come out. They must pick a stadium, and they must just bludgeon that ball out of whatever stadium and learn from Lance, learn from everybody else. So the guy, because I know George bats too high for the Cobras, but he bats lower for the Proteas. So it's a change in mindset. So you need that. So I think that's where I think that could set us apart from because quite frankly, I look at our group and I'm like, we've beaten the West Indies before, so you should beat them again. You can beat Australia because Australia look like a dumpster fire waiting to happen, even though Mitchell Stark is finding form in the ODIs. So outside of India, you can come in as the number 2, get into the semi-final, and in a semi-final, anything can happen. So I'm just saying, maybe go find someone who can be your batting coach and work with this team to up until the World Cup, and maybe even for next year's World Cup, to work on Kagiso's batting, on Andile's batting, on George and all the other guys, because they don't get that much opportunity because they're always bowling to these guys. And then you go get guys like Sisanda, guys like Miguel, and you have guys, they must bowl to each other, but they must also bat against each other. So it kind of works, and then you teach them, like Mark Barcher said, we taught the top order some new shots. Teach these guys new shots. Like, why can't you? And so I think for me, that's how you move from 189 to 200 and consistently. And it also affords you the opportunity to be very aggressive at the top. And that for me is what everybody wants. And that's the way we can get there.
Okay, Abai, I would like to hear your final words.
Yeah, I think Impo said a few things that I wanted to say, but I think if we were to look at the series as a whole, first of all, I think things could have been done better. I know the scoreline says 3-0, but I just want to say that the learning process it's never finite. It always continues, even when things are going well, because there are always areas to improve as time goes on, and I think that's one thing the team will have to focus on especially since there's not a whole lot of time left, not a whole lot of games left heading into the big tournament. So I'm hoping this series is kind of the catalyst for more and more progress, more and more, should I say, positive approach. So that's what I'm hoping to see in the Sri Lanka visit. So I think a lot of confidence can be taken from the series, and this is the opportunity to further enhance the approach.
Tsepo?
Oh, is this final words?
Yeah.
Oh, final words. I'm glad that people are getting game time. Honestly, I'm so glad that people are getting game time. This is what we need. We're moving in the right direction. Lots of positive signs for SA cricket. It's great to be a South African cricket fan today. And yeah, keep commenting, guys. I love chatting to you in the comments. That's what I want to say. Yeah.
And finally, Mpo.
Well, it's a step in the right direction. Still a long way to go. It's just disappointing that we can't have those 3 T20s against India close to the World Cup because of the IPL. But we've got 3 more T20s to go. So, yeah, I don't know. I think now, because I thought we'd seen our 11 at the West Indies. I thought we'd see our 11 now. I think Mark needs to find a way to get the 11 out on the field for the next 3 T20s against Sri Lanka, and also Faf du Plessis there, which is going to be very tough because of the IPL. So we might actually even see a very watered down squad, because teams might be going into bubbles for the IPL right around that Sri Lanka series. So it's going to be pretty tough. But we'll get there. I'm very happy with today. I said 3-0 to start off with. There was no reason for us not to win 3-0. We got the 3-0. Our bowlers were incredible. And yes, they didn't take wicket. They didn't bowl them out, but it was great. And the fact that we scored above 170 for the first time in, like, I don't know how many matches? 7, 8? That's very good. And we're pushing forward. And yeah, long may the... what we call it, the formula continue, because that's what they call it. So the formula, long may the formula continue.
Yeah, so we've blocked a person in the comments for being consecutively racist. So guys, just keep it. If you want to scrutinize players, scrutinize them, and just be critical of their performances. Don't bring race into it because it has nothing to do with people's performances. So I'm not going to condone that on this channel. I'm not going to allow that on this channel. So if you do it, I'll give you 1 chance or 2 chances because sometimes people, I don't know. I don't know sometimes what goes through people's head, but I'll give you 1 warning. And if you don't listen, because this is consecutive now for the last couple of streams now, it's been happening the entire week. So I will block you, and you can unsubscribe if you want to. I don't want you on the channel. Okay, guys, thanks a lot. Do you want to say anything else about that?
So yeah, I think before the T20 World Cup, I think every single T20 match, not just international, but even at franchise level too. I know the CPL was mentioned, so I just want to say that some of the South Africans will be there. Faf will be there. Tahir will be there. Morris and Nokia, Vanadison, and Miguel Pretorius will all be there. So I'll be sure to cover that. It comes at a good time for me.
Excellent.
Yep. Yeah,
Awesome.
I'll be doing post-match reports, or should I say Proteas watch. So look forward to that.
Okay, that is excellent. Thanks a lot, Abai. And where you guys can find that is on cricketfanaticsmag.com. So you just go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all of those updates, written updates, etc. Abai also covered the T20 series and did reports for them too, and as well as the press conference pieces. So well done, Abai, for the entire series. You've worked excellently throughout this. So El Hamza, thank you for the super chat. I don't see anything. Oh,
It's there at the bottom.
There is a question. Okay. Do you think Rassi would be a good enough at number 4 against world-class spin in UAE? Do you think he's fluent enough as a middle order in the UAE? I think mostly in the UAE, yes, because of the way he does bat if he knows he has time at the crease. So when we spoke about our teams earlier, I put him at 3. If Faf doesn't come back, of course. If Faf comes back, then obviously we're gonna have to shuffle things around. Where we're gonna put batsmen, etc. We'll have to figure that out. But Anybody else want to answer this?
It's a good question to ask, and then the question, obviously, that's the question for me as to whether you want either Miller at 4 or do you want Markham to come in, and yeah, Rassie struggled in that CSA T20. He scored the most runs, but I think in those middle overs he really did struggle especially against the Dolphins with Keshav and I think it was Prenelin Subrian. So look, it's a question that the selectors need to come up with to answer. Markham, I don't think Markham's a better player of spin than Rassie. But Markham has improved in that Pakistan Test series. He played spin very well. Rassie also played spin very well. With the whole coming forward, playing back, it was just beautiful with that, with the balance that they had. So, good questions to have, I think, for that middle order. Because I think if you think Rassie's not fluent enough, who else is going to come in? Rassie's got that release shot in Kyle corner, and a lot of teams are going to try and dare him to try and play that. And if they do, you kind of would need a spinner to try and induce him to do that. So it's tough because I think Aiden's a much more of an all-round batsman, and he can fit in at 4. But Rassie has been the guy for SA, especially when times were hard in white ball cricket. So I don't like it's going to be a tough one for you to choose, but I'm always going Rassie with this one, unless if he finds a bad patch of form.
Cool, you can go, Chippo.
Basically, I just want to say, I want to say that most batsmen bats better at 4. I think Rassie has an average of 49. I could be wrong. That could have been Heinrich Klaassen. But either way, I think he'd be the best batsman to be at that position. He's got the ability to rotate the strike very nicely. He doesn't only have the release shot to Kyle corner. Of the reverse sweepers, of the people that have been trying Mark Boucher's new scoring runs with reverse sweeps, his have looked the best by far. So yeah, I think he has the ability to eke out runs, to keep the scoreboard ticking. It might not be prolific, but when a spinner is spinning good, respect the spinner. And I think when it comes to respect, no one respects more than Fanadison. He's just a class act. So yeah, I like him at 4.
Yeah, so I agree with all that's been mentioned. I know Rassie's batted at number 3 at domestic level, but with so many players putting their hat in the ring, I think number 4 is probably fair. One thing that I might be tiny bit concerned, even though it's not really that much of a concern, is how long he takes before he finally gets a chance to open up. Moreover, we see that leg side heave. That's kind of a signature shot. So I think bowlers are good. If the bowlers sense that it's coming up, they may bowl it further outside off, not give him room. So I think on the whole, there still are plenty of areas to improve, even when it comes to finishing the innings. In fact, whenever a player hasn't been in good form and then suddenly puts together an amazing performance, I'm not going to say that's an opinion changer. I'm going to say it's a very good sign for what could come next, because these performances have to happen more often over the course of a longer period of time. If we're going to change our opinion and say, yes, what an amazing player, what a fantastic player. So that's my take on this.
Yeah, and I think what will help Rassie as well is if he looks for those singles, he looks for those twos, especially when he has an attack on the other end with him. So yeah, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I really enjoyed this episode. We're going to have a podcast show tomorrow evening. We're trying to work out the logistics around it and who's going to be on, etc. And we will come to you with the advert. Obviously, you'll get a notification when we go live. It's at 8, obviously, so you know when it is. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you guys again tomorrow with the podcast show, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Smash that like button and subscribe. Let's get it.
She.